Hey there, hoop fans. It's Kokan, your go-to guru for all things roundball, fondly known to the community as Tips and Streams. We're not just dribbling around here. We're talking serious plays and epic showdowns. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of the NBA, breaking down some of the most anticipated matchups that are about to set the court on fire. But wait, before we jump into the action, do me a favor. Slam dunk that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Why? Because you don't want to miss out on our expert analysis, predictions, and those secret top picks that might just give you bragging rights among your friends. All right, fellow ballers, let's lace up and dive in. The first today's prediction is for the matchup between Toronto Raptors and Charlotte Hornets. Tonight's NBA showdown brings an electrifying clash at the Spectrum Center, where the Toronto Raptors are gearing up to take on the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte, North Carolina. Both squads are hitting the hardwood amidst a slump, with each team having stumbled in 4 of their last 5 matchups. This backdrop lays the groundwork for a gripping contest where victory is a coveted prize for both sides. The Raptors, holding a 9-12 record, are finding the going tough on foreign courts, having been bested in 4 out of their last 5 games on the road. This includes a recent showdown with the Miami Heat, where, despite Pascal Siakam's stellar 30-point outing, victory eluded them. Toronto's offensive stats are hovering at an average of 110.8 points per game, ranking them 24th in the league. Their shooting accuracy stands at 46.1% from the field and 33.9% from downtown. On the defensive front, the Raptors are conceding an average of 112.5 points per game, with their adversaries netting 47.0% of their shots. Facing off against them are the Charlotte Hornets, who, with a 6-13 record, have demonstrated a fighting spirit on their home turf, notably clinching a win against the Celtics. Yet, their Achilles heel has been their defense, surrendering an average of 121.6 points per game, placing them towards the league's lower echelons defensively. The Hornets, however, have shown more prowess offensively, averaging 113.1 points per game. Nevertheless, their inability to rein in their opponent's scoring frenzy has been a major contributor to their defeats. Delving into the recent face-offs and the current form and statistics of both teams, the Raptors appear to have a marginal upper hand, especially in their scoring finesse and defensive tenacity, having triumphed in 3 out of their last 5 encounters against the Hornets in Charlotte. Nevertheless, the Hornets' home court advantage and their recent spirited performances could be game changers. The Hornets' bench is feeling the pinch with Frank Ntilikina, Cody Martin, and LaMelo Ball all benched, while Mark Williams' participation hangs in the balance. The Raptors, on the other hand, are only without Christian Koloko due to injury. In summing up, considering the ongoing team dynamics and stats, the Raptors seem poised for a win, but the Hornets, backed by home court advantage, are not to be underestimated. The forecast tilts in favor of the Raptors, not just to win, but also to beat the spread. I'm placing my bet on the Raptors at -4. The next prediction is for the match between Detroit Pistons and Orlando Magic. The Detroit Pistons, saddled with a disheartening 2-19 record, step onto the court as the clear underdogs in this matchup. Their play has been uninspiring, with an average score of just 108, 8 points per game, leaving them languishing at 27th in the league rankings. Their shooting game is off the mark, hitting just 46.2% of field goals and 34.6% from beyond the arc. On the brighter side, their rebounding game is somewhat of a silver lining, averaging 45.3 per game. However, their high turnover and foul rates are glaring signs of a team struggling with discipline and control on the hardwood. Defensively, the Pistons have a lot to work on. Conceding an average of 118.0 points per game puts them at 23rd in the NBA. Their defense has been particularly porous against field shots, allowing a 47.7% success rate, and they've been especially vulnerable to three-pointers, with opponents sinking 36.7% of their attempts. On the flip side, the Orlando Magic boast a more respectable 14-7 record. Their recent stumble against the Cavaliers, despite a standout showing from Paolo Banchero, has raised some eyebrows. Nonetheless, they're generally outperforming the Pistons, both offensively and defensively, which could tip the scales in their favor in this clash. Injury-wise, the Pistons are missing key players like Monty Morris and Jalen Duren, which could significantly hamper their game. The Magic aren't immune to injury woes either, with Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter Jr. on the sidelines, potentially impacting their squad depth. Looking at recent head-to-head matchups in Orlando, the Pistons have managed 2 wins in the last 5 games and have beaten the spread 3 times. Considering the current form of both teams, the Orlando Magic seem to have the upper hand over the Detroit Pistons, particularly with the advantage of playing on their home court and their overall stronger season performance. The Pistons' struggles on both ends of the court, compounded by their injury issues, pose a significant hurdle against a robust Orlando team. In conclusion, taking into account team stats, recent plays, and injury reports, it's logical to predict a win for the Orlando Magic. They've demonstrated greater consistency and effectiveness on the court, which should be key in overpowering the Pistons. I'm putting my money on the Orlando Magic to clinch the win and beat the spread, backing them at -11. The next prediction is for the match between the Atlanta Hawks and Philadelphia 76ers. Tonight's clash on the hardwood at the Wells Fargo Center in Philly promises to be a high-octane showdown. The Atlanta Hawks, sporting a 9-11 record, are eager to rebound from a tight defeat to the Nets. Their sharpshooting was on point with a solid 44.7% field goal accuracy and an impressive 94.4% from the charity stripe. The Hawks' rebounding prowess, snagging 49 boards last game, including 11 on the offensive end, and their skill at causing turnovers, averaging 16.1 per game, are major pluses. Yet they're battling some defensive woes, conceding 122.4 points per game and letting rivals shoot 49.9%. Meanwhile, the 76ers, holding a strong 13-7 tally, are riding the momentum of a hard-earned win against the Wizards. Their offensive might was clear, dropping 131 points recently with a 51.1% field goal precision. Their three-point game might be cooler at 29.6%, but they were flawless at the free throw line, hitting 100%. The Sixers also showed their defensive chops, especially in rebounding, limiting the Wizards to just 2 offensive rebounds. Looking at both squads' recent form, particularly their last 5 face-offs in Philly, sheds light on the dynamics. The Hawks, with their scoring tenacity and Trae Young's standout performances, have resilience, but their defensive gaps, especially against offensively strong teams like the 76ers, might be their Achilles heel. The 76ers, with the advantage of their home court and more balanced gameplay, seem poised to capitalize on the Hawks' frailties. The game's fate may well rest on whether the Hawks can tighten their defense and if the 76ers keep their offensive rhythm. The stats and recent form tilt slightly in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers, especially with their knack for thriving under pressure and leveraging their home turf. In sum, the 76ers, with their formidable offense-defense combo and the backing of their home fans, look set to triumph and cover the spread against the Hawks. My bet's on the Philadelphia 76ers -7. The next prediction is for the match between the Washington Wizards and Brooklyn Nets. The showdown between the Washington Wizards and the Brooklyn Nets is shaping up to be a real nail-biter. The Wizards are rolling into this clash riding a tough 3-game skid, sitting at a 3-17 record. They've been dropping the ball on defense, letting opponents light up the scoreboard with an average of 125.4 points on 50.4% shooting. On the offensive side, they're hanging in there with an average of 117.3 points on 48.7% shooting. Kyle Kuzma has been the standout, racking up 23.2 points and snagging 5.9 boards per game. The Brooklyn Nets are strutting in with a much healthier recent tally, boasting 11 wins against 9 losses. They're riding a wave of momentum, having bagged 5 wins in their last 6 outings. The Nets have been showing up on both ends of the court, knocking down an average of 116.6 points on 47.3% shooting, while keeping opponents to 114 points on 45.1% shooting. Cam Thomas dropping 24.3 points and grabbing 3.6 rebounds alongside Mikal Bridges with his 23.3 points and 6.2 rebounds per game have been the linchpins in their lineup. When it comes to home court showdowns against Southeast Division rivals, the Nets have been the alpha dogs, claiming victory in 13 of their last 14 encounters. They've also got a knack for beating the spread when up against Eastern Conference foes with a losing streak. The Wizards, though, have a habit of falling short in night games against winning teams, but have shown grit in covering the spread in away games post-defeat. Weighing up their recent form and past patterns, the scales tip in favor of a Brooklyn Nets triumph. Their solid home game stats and knack for outplaying teams with losing records give them the edge. But don't count out the Wizards just yet. Their ability to keep games tight under specific conditions hints at a closer contest than the stats might lead you to believe. Taking into account team dynamics, individual heroics, and past face-offs, I'm betting on the Brooklyn Nets to clinch this one and beat the spread. The Wizards, despite their current rough patch, are expected to put up a valiant fight. However, the Nets' recent surge and home court stronghold look set to tip the scales in their favor. So my pick is the Brooklyn Nets, laying down a cool -7. The next prediction is for the game between the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics. As we gear up for a high-octane showdown at TD Garden, the New York Knicks are lacing up to take on the Boston Celtics in a matchup that's shaping up to be a basketball spectacle. The Celtics, riding high with a stellar 15-5 record, are a force on their home court. Yet, the Knicks, boasting a respectable 12-8 record, seem primed to defy the odds in this face-off. Leading the charge for the Knicks is Jalen Brunson, a powerhouse on the court. Brunson's expected to rack up 26 points, snatch 4 rebounds, and dish out 5 assists, showcasing his game-changing skills. The Knicks' scoring prowess, averaging 110.89 points per game with a 52% success rate in field goals, speaks volumes about their offensive threat. Though they're slightly behind the Celtics in these stats, it's clear the Knicks are ready to go toe-to-toe. The Knicks have shown remarkable grit and strategic finesse, especially in their recent upswing. They're poised and prepped to challenge the Celtics. Their ability to stay cool under pressure and adjust their game plan will be key in their quest to outpace the spread. The Celtics, with Jason Tatum at the helm, are a dominant force on their turf. Tatum is anticipated to contribute 28 points, grab 9 rebounds, and provide 5 assists. Their offensive firepower, boasting an average of 116.50 points per game and a 47.35% field goal rate, is impressive. But the Knicks' tenacious defense might just throw a wrench in the Celtics' rhythm, potentially slowing down their scoring. Both teams enter this clash in full health, with no injuries reported. In their recent head-to-heads in Boston, the Knicks have outperformed the Celtics, covering the spread in 2 of the last 5 encounters. The Celtics may have the home court edge, but the Knicks' resolve and recent form position them as serious contenders to beat the spread. Their strategy, anchored in robust defense and seizing offensive opportunities, could close the scoring gap, setting the stage for a tighter contest than many might expect. In sum, the Knicks' growing momentum, strategic acumen, and resilience position them well to challenge the Celtics and cover the spread. This game is gearing up to be a nail-biter, with the Knicks potentially using their underdog status to push the Celtics to their limits. My bet's on the New York Knicks +7. The next prediction is for the match between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat. Tonight's showdown is a nail-biter with both squads, the Cavaliers and the Heat, hitting the hardwood with mirror stats, each boasting 12 victories and 9 defeats. The Cavaliers are playing a steady game, dropping 111.3 points per game, ranking 22nd in the league, but their defense is a slam dunk, only letting through 111.1 points per game, a solid 8th. Their real road warriors netting an impressive 103.8 points per game away from home, outperforming their home score average of 109.4. On the rebounding front, they're playing at midcourt with 44.3 rebounds per game, 14th in the league, and their assist game is also in the mid-range, dishing out 25.6 assists per game, 17th in the league. The Miami Heat, in contrast, are scoring an average of 113.0 points per game, 18th in the league, and their defense is letting in 111.6 points, ranking 11th. They turn up the heat at home, scorching the net with 119.3 points per game, way above their road average of 109.2. But their rebounding game is lagging, scraping the bottom at 4th worst in the league with just 40.9 rebounds per game. However, they're dishing out more assists than the Cavaliers, ranking 10th with 26.3 per game. Injuries might be a game-changer tonight. The Heat are benched without key players like Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, while the Cavaliers are sweating over Karis LeVert and Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell is the player to watch for the Cavaliers, projected to lead with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. For the Heat, Jimmy Butler is the key man, expected to bring in 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. The betting lines and trends are telling their own story. The Heat have been struggling to cover the spread at home, only managing it in 2 out of their last 8. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers have been more solid across the board. The smart money is on a high-scoring game, likely topping the over-under. Despite playing away, the Cavaliers are tipped to beat the spread, mostly due to Miami's injury issues and Cleveland's recent hot streak. Looking at past face-offs, the Heat have a slight edge against the spread and have often pushed past the total points in their games. But with the Cavaliers' strong performance in recent road games and Miami's injury woes, the odds are leaning towards a Cleveland win. After sizing up the team stats, recent plays, head-to-head records, injury reports, and betting trends, the prediction is angling toward a Cleveland Cavaliers triumph. They're better poised to exploit Miami's weak spots, particularly in scoring. My final call? I'm seeing the Cavaliers taking the win, but I'm betting on a total score going over 218 for the Cavaliers and Heat. The next prediction is for the match between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Memphis Grizzlies. The showdown in the hardwood between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Memphis Grizzlies at the FedEx Forum is gearing up to be a hoops extravaganza. The Timberwolves, boasting a solid 16-4, are tearing up the court with a triple threat of road victories under their belt. On the flip side, the Grizzlies, lagging at 6-14, aim to flip the script in their own den. Diving deep into the stats and past showdowns is key for any savvy prediction. The Timberwolves are dropping buckets more than their rivals by about 7 points a game, flaunting a plus 140 in the scoring column. They're lighting up the scoreboard with 112.3 points a game, ranking 20th, while their defense is clamping down, only letting through 105.3 points, the league's tightest. With Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns balling out, they're no pushovers. Don't sleep on the Grizzlies, though. Despite their rough patch, they're still in the game with a minus 100 scoring differential and an average of 106. 4 points, sitting 29th. Their defense is where they shine, allowing 111.4 points and ranking 10th. Home turf could be their secret weapon for a surprise turnaround. Betting-wise, Minnesota's been solid with an 11-9-0 against the spread, while Memphis covered 9 out of 20. It hints that while the Timberwolves lead the pack, the Grizzlies could snatch the spread, boosted by home court vibes. Weighing all this, the Timberwolves have the edge in performance and scoring, but don't count out the Grizzlies' grit, especially on their stomping ground. They're poised to defy the odds, possibly grabbing an underdog win, so leaning towards the Grizzlies to cover the spread in a nail-biter. Wrapping up, considering form and history, my bet is on the Memphis Grizzlies to cover the spread against the Minnesota Timberwolves at their den. I'm backing the Memphis Grizzlies with a +7. The next prediction is for the match between Golden State Warriors and Oklahoma City Thunder. Tonight's showdown at the Paycom Center is shaping up to be a slam dunk of a game, with the Golden State Warriors dribbling in to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Warriors, who've been hustling hard with a 10-11 scorecard, are starting to find their groove, netting wins in 4 out of their last 7 matchups. Their recent triumph over the Trailblazers, spearheaded by Steph Curry's impressive 31-point play, highlighted their tenacity, even with a few hiccups in shot accuracy and ball handling. Their knack for snagging turnovers and sinking threes at a solid 36.6% rate is a big play in their strategy. Meanwhile, the Thunder are rolling in with a stronger stance at 13-7, dominating the court in 8 of their last 11 games. Despite a recent fumble against the Rockets, their offensive game is on point, averaging 118.8 points with a 48.8% field goal rate. They're leading the league from beyond the arc, hitting 39.6% of their three-pointers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a key player, racking up an average of 30.1 points and 6.3 assists. When it comes to face-to-face matchups, the Thunder have been taking the lead, outscoring the Warriors 2-1 this season. The Warriors usually bring their A-game against the Thunder post-victory, and they've got a knack for beating the odds as the away team underdogs in these clashes. However, the Thunder's recent performance and their sharpshooting from downtown give them a slight upper hand in this game. Wrapping it up, weighing the current form, head-to-head stats, and gameplay analysis, the the Oklahoma City Thunder seem to have the edge, especially with their top-tier three-point game and recent momentum, but don't count out the Warriors just yet, especially with Steph Curry's potential to turn the game around. All signs point to the Oklahoma City Thunder snagging the win, likely nailing the three-point spread in a nail-biter of a match. The next prediction is for the match between Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs. The Chicago Bulls, sporting a record of 8-14 this season, are emerging as the front-runners with a 2.5-point advantage over the San Antonio Spurs, who've had a challenging run with a 3-17 tally. When we break down their game strategies, the Bulls have been a fortress on defense, giving up just 112.5 points on average per game. In contrast, the Spurs defense seems to be on shakier ground, surrendering around 122.9 points in each matchup. This stark difference in defense might just be the game-changer tonight. Keep your eyes peeled for key players like the Bulls' scoring dynamo DeMar DeRozan, racking up an impressive 21.9 points per game. On the Spurs' side, Victor Wembanyama is the one to watch, not just for his scoring ability of 9 points per game, but also for his prowess in snagging rebounds and blocking shots. DeRozan's offensive firepower will be vital for the Bulls, especially with his track record of consistent scoring. Looking at recent performances, the Bulls have been on a bit of a roll, clinching victories against teams such as the Charlotte Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans. The Spurs, however, seem to be hitting a rough patch, as seen in their recent losses to teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans. In direct confrontations, especially on the Spurs' home turf in San Antonio, playing at home could offer them a slight edge. However, it's worth noting that the Bulls have been showing some solid performances on the road this season. Taking into account all these factors, team statistics, recent forms, and individual prowess, the scales seem to tip in favor of the Chicago Bulls pulling off a win and beating the spread. Their robust defense, combined with DeRozan's scoring finesse, appears to give them an upper hand against the struggling Spurs. I'm not placing bets, but if I were, my money would be on the Bulls to overcome the minus 2.5 point spread. The next prediction is for the match between the Houston Rockets and Denver Nuggets. Tonight's basketball battle in the Ball Arena is set to be electric, with the Houston Rockets balancing a 9-9 record, clashing with the Denver Nuggets, who are riding high with a 14-8 scoreline. Denver's dominance on their home turf is undeniable, boasting a 9-game hot streak that's hard to ignore in tonight's face-off. This home court advantage might just tip the scales, especially when you weigh in Houston's recent slump on the road, enduring 8 straight defeats away from home. This stark difference in home versus away form could be the game-changer. The spotlight's on some key player face-offs. Denver's Nikola Jokic is on fire, consistently racking up near 30-point triple-doubles, posing a major threat. His blend of experience and skill could outclass Houston's rising star, Alperen Sengun. Jokic's knack for powering Denver's offense with his scoring prowess, rebound skills, and outstanding court vision could turn the tide. Meanwhile, the Rockets are no strangers to lighting up the scoreboard. Watch out for Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, who are leaving their mark. Green's poised to rack up big numbers in points, rebounds, and assists, while VanVleet shines in his assists game. Yet the Rockets' team stats flag some defensive concerns. Betting trends are tilting in favor of the Nuggets, who've been smashing expectations with a 3-1 record against the spread in recent outings. Their game totals have been consistently going over. Houston's betting trends, however, are a mixed bag, with their totals hitting over in 2 of their last 5 and a 2-3 record against the spread in that time. The recent head-to-head history leans towards Houston, winning 3 out of their last 4 matchups, but Denver's current form, particularly at home, could rewrite this script. Analyzing their performance, stats, and betting trends, the Nuggets seem poised for victory. Their balanced offense and home court efficiency should give them an edge. But don't write off Houston yet. Their flair for high-scoring games and knack for keeping it tight, even in tough spots, means they could cover the spread. In conclusion, betting against a Nuggets victory and their ability to cover the spread seems far-fetched. Sure, the Rockets are solid and boast an excellent coach, but the Nuggets have the home advantage and a healthy squad. With Jokic and Porter playing their hearts out and a bit of support from Gordon and Murray, the Nuggets covering a 20-point lead seems plausible. My money's on the Denver Nuggets to triumph and cover the 7.5-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns. Tonight's NBA clash at the Footprint Center is shaping up to be a basketball bonanza, with the Sacramento Kings squaring off against the Phoenix Suns. The Kings, boasting an 11-8 record, have shown incredible bounce-back ability, especially after losses on their home court. They're dropping buckets like rain, averaging a hefty 116.5 points per game and shooting a solid 46.4% from the field. Leading the charge is the electric De'Aaron Fox, raining over 30 points per game. Domantas Sabonis is also a key player, bringing in double-doubles consistently and nailing three-pointers with deadly accuracy. The Phoenix Suns, not far behind with a 12-9 record, have their own offensive arsenal. Scoring an average of 115.5 points on 47.2% shooting accuracy, they're paced by the seasoned Kevin Durant, who's netting an impressive 31 points per game. Devin Booker is another crucial player, topping the league in free throw percentage. Yet, the Suns have some defensive gaps to patch, letting in an average of 112.9 points per game, and showing some shaky defense lately. The Suns could be at a disadvantage, possibly hitting the hardwood with a short-handed lineup due to potential injuries to stars like Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. These absences could shake up their game plan significantly. Looking at both teams' recent forms and head-to-head records, the Kings have a knack for strong comebacks in night games after a home loss. Their resilience and offensive firepower give them an edge in this face-off. The Suns, while packing a punch offensively, are struggling defensively and could be further hampered if key players are sidelined. In summary, although the Suns have the home court advantage and a formidable offense, the Kings' recent performance and the Suns' possible lineup woes due to injuries tilt the scales slightly in favor of the Kings. Expect a scoreboard scorcher, with the Kings likely using their offensive rhythm and tenacity to secure a victory and beat the spread. My bet's on the Sacramento Kings with a minus 1.5 point spread. The last prediction for today is for the match between the Dallas Mavericks and Portland Trailblazers. In this evening's high-octane showdown at the Moda Center, the formidable Dallas Mavericks, boasting a solid 12-8 win-loss card, are set to duke it out with the Portland Trailblazers, who currently hold a less impressive 6-14 record. This matchup is a masterclass in contrasting styles and the profound influence of team synergy and player readiness. Riding high on a wave of momentum, the Mavericks are fresh off a dominant 147-97 rout of the Jazz. All eyes are on Luka Doncic, whose extraordinary scoring prowess has been pivotal in their campaign. Dallas, a powerhouse on offense and fifth in the league in scoring, showcases their lethal firepower. However, they're navigating through rough waters with key players like Maxi Kleber, Josh Green, and Grant Williams out on injury leave, potentially shaking up their strategy and bench strength. The Trailblazers, despite a season riddled with hurdles, are not lacking in grit and determination. Their recent skin-of-the-teeth loss to the Warriors is proof of their ability to hold their ground. But their casualty list, headlined by Robert Williams' season-long absence and the uncertain status of vital cogs such as Malcolm Brogdon, Jerami Grant, and DeAndre Ayton, could significantly derail their game plan. This hits harder considering their desperate need for defensive resilience and rebounding muscle against the Mavericks' scoring juggernaut. The Mavericks' razor-sharp offense might just tip the scales, particularly against a Trailblazer squad that could be missing key defensive anchors. Dallas is expected to exploit Portland's vulnerabilities in the paint, with Doncic spearheading the assault. For Portland, much hinges on whether their players, in doubt, can step up. Brogdon and Ayton's presence could be the antidote to the Mavericks' offensive venom, but their absence could spell a cakewalk for Dallas. From a betting lens, the Mavericks are the hot picks with a 7.5-point advantage, a nod to their scoring superiority and Portland's injury struggles. However, the league's ever-present unpredictability and last-minute player availability shifts add a twist to the narrative. Weighing the team's current form, injury updates, and past face-offs, the Dallas Mavericks are poised for victory. Their scoring prowess, coupled with the Trailblazers' defensive woes and injury setbacks, leans the odds in Dallas's favor. Despite the ever-present chance of an upset in the NBA, the Mavericks' consistency and scoring flair should carry them past this hurdle. Keep tabs on Portland's injury report. If they're missing Ayton and particularly Brogdon, my money's on the Mavericks to clinch the win and beat the spread. In any other scenario, I'm banking on a total score exceeding 226.5. All right, hoopheads, that's the buzzer for today's predictions. Big thanks for rolling with us. If you're vibing with our picks, slam that subscribe button and get on board. Catch you on the court tomorrow. Peace.